What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zachary, surprising with new topics every single week and jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we are all business on today's episode. We are all UFC 328, Khamzat Chimaev, Sean Strickland. That's all we got to talk about today, because it's an action-packed card. This has potential, keyword potential, to be the best numbered event, a pay-per-view, I say, in questions, a big event. What do you even call these now? Because they're not pay-per-views, but I think we're still going to call them pay-per-views, just because saying numbered event sounds kind of lame. But yeah, absolutely massive card, 2 title fights, a ton of ranked fighters, a ton of contenders. This is going to be one of the best cards we've had in a while for the UFC. And I'm not trying to knock, the cards we've had as of late. I'll say last weekend hit it out of the park. Absolutely. UFC Perth was a hit. It was amazing. But I'll say, our fight nights were kind of mid. 327 was a banger. Winnipeg was okay. But as for our last 2 Apex events, they've been kind of mid. So we're going to be dialing it up. Massive, massive, massive episode today. All things UFC 328. So, just kicking us off, right off rip, I may be having a guest on tomorrow, and I'll try and get that episode out very raw, very uncut to you guys. Tomorrow we'll have to see, but it's going to be very busy. So I'll have to, I'll keep that in mind. But, just forewarning, it may be someone we have on the following week. So we'll dive right into it with our UFC 328 predictions. Kicking us off, of course, the first fight of the card. Opening us up for the weekend, we got Clayton Carpenter and Jose Ochoa in the men's flyweight division. And coincidentally, both guys are 8-2. Fun fact, I always find it interesting when fighters have the exact same record. 1 inch in height goes to Jose, along with 1 inch in reach. He fights southpaw. Clayton Carpenter is going to be coming in orthodox. And as well, Clayton Carpenter is the underdog at plus 140. Jose Ochoa is the minus 170 favorite. We'll start it off with Clayton Carpenter. Clayton has somehow been in the UFC now 3 years, gone 2-2, been in some tough fights. I'll say he is on a little 2-fight losing streak. 2025 didn't treat him too well. But the 29-year-old, who originally is from Oregon, is now training out of Arizona, the MMA lab. That's going to be your Jared Cannonier, Mario Bautista gym. A lot of notable fighters there. He's gotten 6 finishes out of those 8 wins, 2 knockouts, 4 subs. And he's won on Season 6 of the Contender Series, had 2 rear naked chokeholds in his 2 first fights. And then last year, lost to Dagalen Bekov and lost to Rafael Filo. So, to be fair, he's lost to 2 tough competitors, but nonetheless, they were still losses. So he's going to look to rebound. Unfortunately, he's taking on a very tough guy in Jose Ochoa. And for Jose, 25 years old, from Peru, trains out of actually the Chutebox Diego Lima gym in Brazil. That is the, of course, Charles Oliveira gym, very famous gym there. And he's gotten a 100% finish rate, 7 knockouts, 1 sub. And this guy debuted short notice, November 2024 in China, took on Loner Kavanaugh, took him to a close decision. After that, fought in Atlanta last year, nasty round 2 knockout of Cody Durden, and then fought in July in a little 1-month turnaround against Asu Almabayev and took him to a very close decision. Some people even argued that he might have won that fight. So Jose Ochoa is very talented. I think Clayton Carpenter will find success in the grappling, but I don't think that he can stand up to him in the striking. And I think that's where Jose gets the better of him. Give me Jose Ochoa to defeat Clayton Carpenter to open up that UFC 328 card. Keeping it rolling, one of my favorite prospects, maybe my favorite fighter to come out of Season 9 of the Contender Series. We got Basinger Susakarov, the Real Hunter. He's been switching around that nickname of his. Now it's the Real Hunter. I'm here for it, Basinger. I freaking love your name anyways. They got him taking on Jordan Shakur Santos. Jordan Santos? I don't even know how you pronounce his name, but Basinger is 11-0. Santos is 11-2. 6'2" to 6 foot. Height goes to Basinger, 79 to 75. The reach as well is going to go to Susakarov. Good stuff there. He's also 4 years younger. They both fight in the orthodox fighting position. So, very curious here. Basinger is one of the biggest favorites on the card. Might be either the second or third biggest favorite at minus 650. And it's, hard to not be the biggest favorite when you're as good as he is. 25 years old, born and raised in Russia, big training partner of Khamzat Chimaev. Now has been training out of Miami as of late at Kill Cliff Fight Club. That's your Brendan Allen, Robbie Lawler, Michael Chandler. They've all made their rounds through there. And of his 11 wins, 10 finishes, 9 by knockout, 1 by sub. Of course, he's famous for the quickest turnaround in UFC history. Actually, Hamzat might have had him beat, but I don't think he did. Bossinger fought on Season 9, Episode 1 of the Contender Series, August 12th, knocked out Murtaz Talhalla in 3 minutes, then turned around at UFC 319 and submitted Eric Nolan 4 days later. Absolutely crazy. He then had a 3-month turnaround fighting Eric McConko and knocking him out in round number 3. So he's already completed the 3 of the 5, hexagon, whatever you want to call it, where you can get a finish in every single round of a fight. He's already done the bare minimum. He's gotten a finish in round 1, 2, and 3. And very high on this guy. He can grapple. He can strike. He's gotten power. And we've already seen all aspects of him. Defend takedowns, land takedowns, deal with adversity, take big hits, go to the round 3. Bossinger has shown us it all, and another test for him here into Jordan Santos. And I do think this is the toughest opponent he's fought in so far. I'm going to be honest, DeJordan is not an easy task. 11-2 is a good professional record. He's 28 years old, also, was originally from out of the country. He was from Brazil, moved to Miami. He was training out of the American Top Team, though, coming into this camp. 7 of his 11 finishes are by knockout, 3 KOs and 4 subs, and he's 1-1 in the UFC. Picked up a win on Season 8 of the Contender Series by decision, debuted and lost to Ozzy Diaz at UFC 313, and then fought in wherever Day Ritter and Allen were, somewhere in Canada. Was it Manitoba? Was it Winnipeg? I don't freaking know. Lost to defeated Danny Barlow by unanimous decision. So 1-1, as I mentioned. Dude has literally no hype, literally nothing to say about DeJordan. I love Bossinger. I think Bossinger is going to win, and he has a very finish-heavy style. And when you're a finish-heavy fighter, that means I'm definitely going to favor you. So give me Bossinger over DeJordan, maybe a round 2 knockout. I'm thinking that might be what I'm leaning towards. I'll say in that fight that DeJordan had with Danny Barlow, Danny's best round definitely came in round number 1. And I'll say, round 1 is Bossinger's, bread and butter. So we're going to go with Bossinger to get the finish. But like I said, this will be the toughest opponent he's ever fought in. And, you're 11-0, you got 10 finishes, you're 25. You're going to get tougher opponents from here on out. And this is just one step for Bossinger Susukharov up to the rankings. Next up, we have 2 veteran featherweights who are 1 win away from getting a ranked opponent here, Pat Sabatini and Jaguar William Gomez. Pat is 21-5. William is 15-3. 6 foot to 5'8". The height is going to go to Gomez, along with the reach, 73-70. He fights southpaw, and Pat Sabatini fights orthodox. There's also a 7-year age gap. William Gomez is the younger fighter. Pat Sabatini is coming in minus 200 favorite, 35 years old from Pennsylvania. Of his 21 wins, 14 by finish, including a notable 13 subs. Of his 5 defeats, he's been knocked out 3 times, and he's got a very stellar 8-2 in the UFC, and currently rides a 3-fight winning streak. And actually, since 2023, he's gone 5-0 in grappling events. So this is a very talented grappler. Over his little 3-fight winning streak, he has averaged 4 takedowns per fight, just about. And, when we look at his run in the UFC so far, comes in red hot, starts off 4-0, picks up a performance of the night heel hook over Jamal Emmers, then runs into Damon Jackson and gets shockingly knocked out. But there's a lot of context we need to use there. Damon Jackson just lost. I don't know if it was a brother, a relative, someone really close to him, might have even been a parent. And he was coming in with that in mind. So I definitely don't want to hold that against Pat Sabatini. Damon Jackson has been the best he's ever looked in his UFC run, so we won't hold that against him. He followed it up with a submission win, and then had to take on Diego Lopez. And I'm not going to say Diego Lopez is past his prime by any means, but the run to getting up to a title shot, Diego Lopez was in a prime of his own. And of course, he did get finished, did get knocked out. But since then, since October of 2024, 3-fight winning streak, 3 good names. Jonathan Pierce, Joe Henderson Brito, and most recently at UFC 322, Chepe Mariscal. And the grappling has just been, out of this world. I think over his last 2 fights, which by the way are 15-minute fights, he has racked up, I kid you not. So out of the last 25 minutes of fighting, he has controlled over 23 minutes of control time, nearing 24. It's insane. It's actually insane. Actually, it's over. It's over that. So yes, it is actually closer to he's controlled pretty much the entire fight for his both last 2. So crazy stuff there. Like I said, Pat Sabatini is a grappling master, and he's going to take on a guy in William Gomez who is very talented, but I just think kind of fell victim to lulling into complacency. So For William Gomez, plus 165, not that big of an underdog. 28 years old from Paris, France. 8 finishes out of those 15 wins he has. 7 by knockout, 1 by sub. And, he's a pretty stellar 5-1 in the UFC. Last year went 1-1. His only split decision, I honestly don't think he lost to Hyder Emil. But when we look through his run in the UFC, comes in, majority decision against Jarno Aarons, split decision against Francis Marshall, a nice body kick against Giannis Gamori, but that was a weird fight overall. Then won a split decision over Joe Anderson Brito, which I don't think anyone had him winning. And to be fair, karma caught up with him as he lost to Hyder Emil in a fight we all thought he should have won. Did fight on the last Paris card, defeated Robert Ruchala in a, pretty back and forth affair where he, ended strong. But I just think, William Gomez, as good as he is in striking, I think this is going to be another name Pat Sabatini adds to the list. And as much as I would love to pick an underdog up to this point, I'm really confident in all of our favorites getting up to here. So I'm going to go Pat Sabatini, grappling his way to a victory. Dare I say even getting a submission over William Gomez. He is not untouchable. But yeah, whoever wins this, look at the bottom of the top 15. David Onama, Patricio Pitbull, the loser of Melquizael Costa and Arnold Allen, those are going to be guys that the winner of this takes on. So, a lot at stake for both of these competitors. Then we're in the men's middleweight division, and in a similar sentiment, whoever wins this could easily get a bottom 15 opponent in the middleweight division, as Roman Kopylov is back in action to take on Marco Matuto Tulio. Roman is 14-5, Marco 14-2. Both men are 6 foot. 1 inch in height to Roman, southpaw for Kopylov, and orthodox for Tulio. So both of these guys have a very similar stature. Kopylov is the plus 155 underdog to the minus 180 favorite, with is Marco Tulio. Now for Roman Kopylov, he is 2 years his senior and is unfortunately on a 2-fight losing streak. Kopylov is 35 years old from Russia, and of those 14 wins, 12 of them are by knockout. Of his 5 defeats, he's been submitted twice. 6-5 in the UFC is his record. And, I do want to be fair. After starting off pretty rough, he starts off 0-2 in the UFC, just not looking too good, grappled to death, and then goes on a 4-fight winning streak. All of them knockouts, including 3 in round 2, nasty head kicks of Punahele Soriano. The Claudio Ribeiro one is fantastic, and then runs into Anthony Hernandez. Follows that up with a win over Cesar Almeida, and then maybe his best win yet over Chris Curtis with a knockout with a second left in the round. That was at the start of last year. Then, unfortunately, had to take on Paulo Costa, which I should not say unfortunately. Unfortunately, he lost, but, he really should have probably won it. Paulo Costa was not showing any sense of urgency. Then he took on Gregory Rodriguez in November and lost. So, Roman Kopylov is pretty talented. His last 3 losses are to the number 7th ranked light heavyweight, the number 7th ranked middleweight, and the number 12th ranked middleweight. So don't really want to knock it against him too much, but they are having him face a knockout master in Marco Tulio. Now, Marco Tulio was served a bit of humble pie in his last contest. He is the favorite here, 31 years old from Sao Paulo, trains out of the same gym as Charles Oliveira and as Jose Ochoa, Chutebox Diego Lima. Of those 14 wins, 11 of those have come by knockout, and 1 of them has come by submission. So Tulio is a very good finisher, and 2 of his knockouts, or 2 of his losses, he's been knocked out in. So fought twice on the Contender Series to get into the UFC. Last year, knockout of Ior Portera, knockout of Tresean Gore, and then in November takes on Christian Leroy Duncan. And after having a decent round 1, just gets knocked out so brutally in round number 2. Oh my goodness, Marco was done so freaking dirty. CLD had him looking just slumped on the canvas, which, hey, I was all for it as I predicted him to win, but nonetheless, oh my goodness, what a knockout for CLD in that one. So coming into this, Roman Kopylov was able to not get knocked out by Paulo Costa and Gregory Rodriguez. And if you're getting slumped by Christian Leroy Duncan, I don't know how I like your odds. So the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm somewhat confident in Roman Kopylov. I generally do like watching him as a fighter. And for being a plus 155 underdog here, I feel like he shouldn't be the underdog in this situation, especially if this is going to be a striking affair. So I'm actually going to go with Roman Kopylov to knock out Marco Tulio yet again in round number 2, dare I say, by head kick. That's what I'm going to be going with, folks. Now, we're going from some, somewhat up-and-comers, not really, to some aged veterans, the perfect type of fight these two should be having at this stage in their career as the A10 man, the hometown boy in New Jersey, which, by the way, this fight night is going on in Newark, New Jersey, as Jim A10 Miller takes on Jared Flash Gordon, who, by the way, is from New York. So these two are both going to get some pretty big pops, I think, when they fight. Jim Miller is 38-19 with one no contest. That is right. This will be professional fight number 59 for good old Jim Miller. For Jared Gordon, 21-8 with a no contest. This will be professional fight number 31. 1 inch in height goes to Jared. 3 inches in reach go to Jim Miller. Jim Miller, of course, fights southpaw, and Jared Gordon fights orthodox. We'll start with Jim Miller, who for some reason is plus 260 on the odds. It makes literally no sense. Jared Gordon is minus 315. Is there some insider info I'm not aware of? But I will say Jim Miller is the oldest fighter on this card, one of the oldest fighters in the UFC at 42 years of age. He's from Sparta, New Jersey. 7 KOs and 21 subs give him 28 out of 38 professional wins by finish, and he's gone an astounding 27-18 in the UFC. That is right. This guy is going for professional fight number 46, I think, 46 in the UFC. Crazy work. He's going for 50, he said. Jim Miller has been around since the year 2008 in the UFC. And just to throw out a couple names who he's taken on, Gray Maynard holds a submission win over Charles Oliveira. Benson Henderson, Nate Diaz, Donald Cerrone, Michael Chiesa, Beneil Dariush, Dustin Poirier he's had a fight of the night with, Anthony Pettis, Dan Hooker. I mean, the names go on and on and on. And as of late, he's been on an absolute, bar bender, some tough, bloody fights. Last 2 years, lost to King Green, defeated Damon Jackson, and then lost last year to Chase Hooper. So all of those were wars. All of those he fought hard in. And like I said, this guy has not gone the distance in a victory since I honestly couldn't tell you. It's dating back a decade, all right? This guy either goes the distance in a war, a bloody war, or either he's getting a finish. So really high on Jim Miller here. I absolutely love him, but he is having, a tough opponent here in Jared Gordon. Now, Jared Gordon, also old, 37. He's from New York. 8 knockouts, 2 subs. Do give him a sub 50% finish rate, which isn't the best type of thing. And of his 8 losses, he's been finished 6 times, 5 by knockout. So this is notable. He's got 9-7 with a no contest in the UFC. Now, Jared Gordon also been in the UFC almost a decade. Obviously, it's been almost 2 decades for your boy Jim Miller. But, Jared Gordon's fought in some tough guys. Charles Oliveira, Diego Ferreira, Grant Dawson, Paddy Pimblett, a lot of tough guys. Over the last 2 years, he's lost a split decision to Nasrat Haqpasarat, knocked out Thiago Moises, and most recently at UFC Noche was TKO'd in round 3 by Rafa Garcia. So not only am I leaning on a favorite pick here, but I generally believe Jim Miller can defeat Jared Gordon. I just do not understand the odds here. I don't know if it's based on the age, but of all the underdogs here on this card, some of your best value I would love to put on Jim. Still got it. He's taken about a year off of fighting, and Jared Gordon was just finished his last time out. So, Jim, you're in New Jersey. Go tear it up, my friend. I'm going to be rooting heavily for you in this matchup. Let's stick with the lightweight division, folks, as we've got an absolute war in our next one. Grant KJD Dawson and Matus Rebecca. There is blood, there is battle, there is going to be some gore taking place in this octagon with these two step in it. Grant Dawson is 23-3 with a draw. Matus is 20-4. What good records do we have here? 5'10" to 5'7" and 72 to 66. You're going to get 3 inches in height and 6 inches in reach going to Grant Dawson. He's a switch stance fighter. Matus is going to be more southpaw with that left hand. As for the age, 2 years separate them, and Matus is actually 2 days apart from being a birthday twin with me. So maybe I have a bit more liking to him than Grant Dawson. Now for Grant, he is a minus 150 favorite. Rebecca plus 125. Now Grant Dawson is 32 from Nebraska, but of course now moved to Florida and trains on American Top Team. Has actually gotten some more tattoos since he started fighting. And he does have 18 of 23 wins by finish, including a notable 13 subs, and all 3 of his knockouts, or all 3 of his losses, he's been knocked out in. So I do want to throw that out there. Grant Dawson came to the UFC and was on a ridiculous winning streak before getting his first main event and was knocked out in 33 seconds by Bobby King Green. That was quite the event, let me tell you that. Followed that up with 3 straight wins, including one by knockout, but then to end the year, Fight night, main card, 3 of 23, gets knocked out by Manuel Torres in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. So the chin of Grant Dawson is often tested and at times can fail. Just look at the fights against King Green and against Manuel Torres. Now, he is a grappler through and through. That's literally all he's going to do. He's going to be shooting for takedowns here. And when it comes to Matus Rebecca, this guy is tricky to put your finger on. So he's 33 from Poland. He's gotten 16 of 20 wins by finish, 9 knockouts, 7 subs, and came in and was doing really good. Obviously Season 6 Contender Series vet. 2023 goes 3-0 with 2 finishes, then runs into Diego Ferreira in what would have been a fight of the night on that card if we had not had the, other fights taking place. So I do believe that Matus Rebecca should, currently be having 4 straight fight of the nights, but as of right now, he's had 3 fight of the nights in a row. 1 against Maitabek Orolbai, 1 against Chris Duncan, and 1 against Ludwig Klein. So this guy just guarantees violence, but he's so overdue for a win. Let me tell you, Matus Rebecca is so overdue for a win, and one aspect he's struggled in has been the grappling. We've seen it through his last 4 fights when he's been struggling. It's when he's getting on the ground, and at times when he has success, it's on the ground as well. And the good news for him, his opponent is going to be fully focused on taking him down. So on the feet, I'm definitely going to be confident that Rebecca can throw some big shots, land something. He's a little underdog here, but I am going to go with Matus Rebecca to defeat Grant Dawson. I just think that warrior mentality is going to come out. You're going to get a little prime Matus Rebecca, and he's going to bring some violence to the octagon. So give me Matus Rebecca, another decision victory over Grant Dawson, or dare I say maybe a finish. If Grant Dawson wins, I'll be very sad because Matus Rebecca is very entertaining, but being 1-4 in your last 5 does not bode well for another UFC fight. Second to last prelim here, one of the most high-level, unranked welterweight fights you're probably going to see for the year is going to be taking place here as Joel Alvarez takes on the now number 14th ranked Yaroslav Amosov. And Joel Alvarez is 23-3. Yaroslav is 29-1. 3 inches in height go to Joel, along with 2 inches in reach. He's always had that. Orthodox stance for both gentlemen. They are only, and I kid you not, 6 months apart in age. Very similar. Very, very similar. Yaroslav is coming in as the favorite, -175. Joel Alvarez is the underdog at +145. Now, this is a very special underdog as Joel Alvarez is not really an underdog. Let's be real. 33 years old from Spain, has a 100% finish rate with 5 knockouts and 17 subs. Or I forgot. He actually went to his first decision last time out in his lone fight last year. I completely forgot about that. Vicente Luque, he couldn't finish him. That is so odd to think about. But of his 2 losses, he's been knocked out twice, or of his 3 losses, I should say. And his last loss was to Arman Sarukian over 4 years ago. So on his little winning streak, finished Mark Diakise, Elvis Brenner, Jakar Close, and then went the distance with Vicente Luque. So Joel Alvarez has gone pretty decent in the UFC, 8-2. Only losses are to Damir Ismagulov and Arman Sarukian, and if no one knows, Arman Sarukian is literally the number 2 lightweight on the planet, one of the toughest divisions in the world, I'd say. And he's done pretty good of late, but him not finishing Vicente, I completely forgot, was just kind of mind-boggling. He won all 3 rounds, dominated him, even 10-8'd him, I think, in round number 2 it might have been, but just couldn't get him out of there. So we'll see how Joel does when he takes on Yaroslav Amosov. And if no one knows who this guy is, he is a legend. 32 years old from Ukraine, went 8-1 in Bellator, became the Bellator champion. He has 21 of his 21 wins by finish, 9 knockouts and 12 subs. And this man literally fought in the war. He had to go on a little hiatus from fighting to go fight in the Ukraine war. Crazy. Finally made his way to the UFC on the final event of 2025, UFC Fight Night, Manel Cape and Brandon Royval, and he submitted Neil Magny in 3 minutes in very impressive fashion. So, Yaroslav, you're ranked. Welcome to the UFC. Ready to test himself against the best they have to offer, and Joel Alvarez is a perfect first step. But I do think, Joel Alvarez won't be easy, but Yaroslav has just been such an animal, such a dog. It would be crazy to think Joel Alvarez is his ceiling, because I could easily put him in against Uros Medic, Mike Mallet, Gabriel Bonfim, Joaquin Buckley, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, and picture him having success. So we're going to get a real test here of if he is cut out for the top 15, or if it's going to be the Neil Magny's of the world, are the people he can beat. So we're going to go with Yaroslav to defeat Joel Alvarez. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. But yes, this will be a good one. Keep your eyes out on this one, folks. And the final prelim of the night is set up to be a slaughter, but we'll see if that'll be the case as the Storm, Ateba Gadier, takes on Ozzy Diaz. Ateba, 10-1, 9-fight winning streak. Ozzy Diaz, 10-3. 6'4" is both of their height and a notable 81 inches in reach for Ateba. Pretty big reach. 79 for Ozzy Diaz. Well, not too bad himself. Ateba fights switch. Ozzy fights orthodox. There's a 12-year age gap here, folks. 2002 for Ateba. 1990 for Ozzy Diaz. Starting us off with Ateba Gadier. If you don't know this prospect, you should, as he's the biggest favorite on the card at -1,000. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? He's insane. 24 years old from Cameroon. 8 of his 10 wins are by knockout. And man, Season 8 Contender Series vet. Came in last year, 3 round 1 knockouts, 2 of them performance of the night bonuses. And then he took on Andre Puliev this year on the first card, UFC 324. And he damn near knocked him out in round number 1. And then Andre survived. And then he damn near knocked him out in round number 2. And Andre survived. And then it went to round 3. And Andre might have won the round. So we are going to get to see the evolution of Ateba Gadier here if he can improve. Because obviously he handsomely won against Andre Puliev. But to be fair, it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy fight for him to win. So we're going to test him here a bit more against Ozzy Diaz. And now for Ozzy Diaz, he shouldn't win this. All right, he's 35. He's a plus 675 underdog, the biggest underdog on the card. 9 of his 10 wins are by finish. All of his losses are by knockout. And these two are actually supposed to fight at UFC 320, but Ozzy pulled out. So the last time Ozzy Diaz fought was March 2025 against Jordan Santos, who we already talked about earlier on this episode. Now, Ozzy Diaz fought on the Contender Series. Joe Pyfer knocked him out. Debuted at UFC China 2024. Zhang Mingyang knocked him out. So this guy is 1-1. In the UFC, and we're going to see how he does here. But this is probably going to be the quickest prediction I can make. Ateba Gadier, round 1 knockout. Ozzy Diaz, I could maybe make a case for that, Ateba is, newer. Ozzy has experience, but Ateba has been so active. In the time span since these two were supposed to fight, he's already picked up 2 wins. In the time span since Ozzy Diaz's last fight, Ateba Gadier has debuted and won 4 fights in the UFC. So, going to be going with Ateba Gadier to knock out Ozzy Diaz, round number 1. I look forward to it. It should be exciting, but who knows? Maybe Ozzy Diaz will pull a little upset. If Andre Puliev can go to the distance, maybe Ozzy Diaz can too. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on into our main card here. It's a pretty good main card. I'm a little torn on the first fight. I don't really think it should be on the main card, but hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. You're going to get to watch all the fights nonetheless, and you don't have to pay, any different amount of money. So, opening the main card, lightweight division, Bobby King Green, Jeremy Stephens, 2 veteran lightweights, King Green -300, Stephens +250. Odds make complete sense to me. Bobby King Green is 34-17 with a draw and a no contest. Jeremy Stephens is 29-22 with a no contest. 1 inch in height for King Green. They both stand at 71 inches in reach. Both fight in the orthodox position, and they were both born in 1986. So, kicking us off, Bobby King Green. We've talked about him. How many times have we actually talked about Bobby since I started this podcast? I started this back in 2023, and we have covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Bobby Green fights, and in total, I've watched 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 of his UFC fights live. That's right, since 2020, he has had 17 UFC fights. That's actually insane when we think about it. 39 years old from California. 21 of those 34 wins are by finish, 12 KOs, 9 subs. And of his 17 losses, he's been finished 9 times. He's gotten 15-12 with a no contest and a draw in the UFC. But as of late, 2-fight winning streak. Defeated Lance Gibson Jr. to end the year, and then knocked out Daniel Zellhuber in Mexico, which was crazy. What an upset that was. He was a underdog, if I recall, in that one. I don't know if I have the same notebook that I made predictions for on that card. I don't think so, but yeah, crazy stuff there. King Green has also fought in tough competition the last few years. His last few losses have been Mauricio Ruffy, Paddy Pimblett, Jalen Turner, Drew Dober, Islam Makhachev, Rafael Fiziev, like, those are all top guys. His wins, Tony Ferguson, Grant Dawson, Jim Miller, like, King Green is a staple in the UFC. He's been around since 2009, back in the Affliction and Strikeforce days, which is crazy to think about. And like I said, dude's a legend. He's fought in Barbosa, Poirier, you name it, he's fought in them. So King Green back in action, looking to get into the rankings with a win here as he takes on Jeremy Stephens. And Jeremy Stephens, what a character. What a character is Jeremy Stephens. Also 39, born in Iowa, but now trains out of Cali. 21 out of those 29 wins are by finish. What is it? He has, where is it at? 18 knockouts and 3 subs. There we go. Of his 22 losses, only been finished 8 times. I do want to add that. Not too bad, all right? And now he was supposed to, I don't even know what to say about Jeremy Stephens. This guy was in the UFC for a long time. From like 2007 to 2021. He put in a crazy run in that time period. And, he fought Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson, Darren Elkins, Joe Lazone, Rafael Dos Anjos, a lot of tough guys. Didn't end on the best streak, all right? From 2018 to 2021, he lost to Jose Aldo, Zabit Magomedsharipov, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, and Matus Gamrot. Left the UFC, went to boxing, went to bare-knuckle fighting. He's done a lot. And in the last year, lost to Mason Jones in a somewhat entertaining fight where he did lose back at UFC Des Moines, and then lost a bare-knuckle fighting fight to Mike Perry in October. So Jeremy Stephens is all over the place. He's picked up a few bare-knuckle fighting wins. He's picked up, a boxing win. But like I said, at this point in his career, he probably shouldn't be fighting. He really shouldn't. And I think this is the perfect way to get King Green his 3rd straight win and maybe give him a shot at the rankings. So give me Bobby King Green to defeat Jeremy Stephens. But hey, who knows? Who knows if Little Heathens can turn back the clock? I wouldn't really give him hope. His last MMA win actually came in 2018 against Josh Emmett. He knocked him out in round 2. What a fun fact that is. So, yeah, King Green over Jeremy Stephens, and I'm going to go knockout, just to be bold. After that, we get into kind of the big 4 fights on this card, I would say. They really end with a bang with a lot of ranked fighters. And we're starting off welterweight division. 4th to last fight, 2nd fight in on the main card, is going to be your number 6 ranked Sean Brady taking on your number 9 ranked Joaquin Buckley in the men's welterweight division. And this is a very interesting stylistic matchup between these two. Now, coming in, Sean Brady's 18-2, Joaquin is 21-7. Very experienced fighters. Both are 5'10". 4 inches in reach for Buckley is going to be the main difference here, along with the stance, orthodox for Brady, southpaw for Buckley. And there's only about 2 years separating them in age, so pretty much size-wise, they're going to be the same. The odds makers currently have it minus 185 for Brady, plus 160 for Buckley. Now, when it comes to this, Sean Brady, will start with where he's been at as of late. 33 now from Pennsylvania, 3 knockouts, 6 subs, give him a 50% finishing rate, which for his style isn't awful. And fun fact, these two were actually supposed to fight April 25th. That fight was pushed back to this event. So Sean Brady really came into the UFC on a tear. He was undefeated before being TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad, which was just not a good look at all. He would follow that up with 3 straight wins, including becoming the first person ever to finish Leon Edwards in London. After that, he would take on Michael Morales at UFC 322, Madison Square Garden in November, which was his last fight, and he was promptly knocked out handsomely. Yeah, Michael Morales made easy work of him, defended the 1 takedown Sean Brady shot, and knocked him out. So Sean isn't necessarily coming in with the biggest momentum, but he has a very grapple, heavy style, if you will. That's the name of the game for him, and he's really good at control. Every single fight that he has won, he has landed a takedown in. So that should say something about what happens, because in the 2 fights he lost, he didn't land a takedown. Now, as for his opponent, Joaquin Buckley, similar sentiment. Guy's coming off a loss, and it's crazy to think Buckley has not been as active as he used to be. So Buckley right now, 32 from Missouri, 15 knockouts of those 21 wins. Very impressive. Never been submitted. He's been knocked out before, but he's never been submitted. I want to note that. He's gone 11-5 in the UFC, and he actually had a loss at the RAF, which is like the wrestling event they do now, in November. So he has stayed active, outside of MMA, but nonetheless, hasn't won a fight since December of 2024, which is crazy to think about. Buckley had previously been on a tear before losing to Kamaru Usman. He had been on a 6-fight winning streak. He had just finished back-to-back legends in Wonderboy Thompson and Colby Covington, and really has just had a crazy run since joining the UFC 6 years ago. When it comes down to this fight, I like to look at the last fight, of where Buckley was pretty handsomely out-grappled by Kamaru Usman in a 25-minute fight. 13 minutes of it was Usman in control, and there were even, some rounds where Buckley didn't even make it into the single digits of strikes landed. So I'm just very curious to see how this fight plays out. I know Buckley is a really good striker. I know Brady is a really good grappler, and it's the weakness of both of these guys. So it literally boils down to, will Sean Brady's grappling defeat Joaquin Buckley, or will Joaquin Buckley's striking defeat Sean Brady? And what I'm going to analyze is what happened with their last few fights. So we can only really look at the last two, because I'm not going to be going back all the way to 2024 for a lot of stuff. For Buckley, we can look at the Colby Covington fight, all right? Did really good in the stand-up, was able to deflect any takedowns Colby threw at him, and had the fight stopped to a cut. Now, in his last fight against Kamaru Usman, was able to stuff 9 of the 13 takedowns that were thrown at him, which is pretty impressive. But early on, it wasn't until round number 5 he started stopping the takedowns. So if that's the case here, he's just not going to have success. And for Sean Brady, we usually see he has success in the early rounds of fights. So I think Buckley is a great underdog pick. I would definitely encourage him for a lot of people, but I am going to go with Sean Brady to get it done. I just think his grappling is going to be what gives him the edge here, but hey, anything can happen. Just keep your eyes out, but I'm going to go with Sean Brady to outgrapple Joaquin Buckley. After that, we are up to the men's heavyweight division for another fight. Trying to save the division. Every heavyweight fight is just a battle for relevancy nowadays, as the number 4 ranked Waldo Cortez Acosta takes on the number 2 ranked Alexander Volkov. Happy to be seeing both of these guys getting to fight him. And always love to see it. Volkov is 39-11. That is right. He's had an astounding 50 professional fights, and he's going for win number 40 on this card. Drago will be taking on the Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is 17-2. He'll be going to have his 20th professional fight here. Very good for him. 6'7" to 6'4", height goes to Volkov. 80 to 78, reach goes to Volkov, and they both fight orthodox. Only about a 3-year age gap here, and both of my boys were born in October, so I love both of them. Now, for the odds, Volkov minus 185, Waldo plus 160. Very interesting odds here. For Volkov, always been a fan of him. Always been a fan of Alexander Volkov. 37 now from Moscow. Of those 39 wins, 24 KOs, 4 subs. So I love seeing, out of 39 professional fights, 28 of them being finishes. That's just great to see. And of his 11 losses, he's only ever been finished 5 times. He's gone 13-5 in the UFC, and actually had a December 17th grappling win. I didn't even know Volkov did that type of stuff, but good for you, Alexander Volkov. He's had a pretty rough go for his last 2 fights. He won a horrible split decision over Holton Almeida, but then ended up losing a horrible split decision to Cyril Gans. There's balance with everything in the universe. Volkov has pretty much taken on everyone that you know and love. Tim Johnson, Roy Nelson, Stefan Struve, Fabricio Verdum, Derek Lewis, Greg Hardy, Curtis Blades, Walt Harris, Alistair Overeem, Cyril Gahn twice, Tom Aspinall, Marcin Tybura, Taito Ivasa, Sergey Pavlovich, Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Literally, he's fought every relevant fighter. So Waldo Cortez Acosta is just another name in the rotation. At the end of the day, these are both 2 heavy strikers, so I'm very interested to see how this takes place, because Volkov is going to be much more of your power puncher, where Waldo's going to be much more of your putting on a lot of pressure on you. Now, Volkov hasn't been finished by knockout since the Derek Lewis fight, actually the only time in his career, and as for the last time he lost by finish was submission to Tom Aspinall 4 years ago. Last got a finish over Taito Ivasa by submission in 2023, along with his last knockout being of the same year. So, Volkov, we're going to see how you do, but you're taking on a hot prospect in Waldo Cortez Acosta. Waldo is 34, from Arizona now, originally from the Dominican Republic, but I believe he's been getting in some reps at the MMA lab. 10 of his 17 wins are by finish, 9 by knockout. And since debuting in 2022, he has gone 10-2 in the UFC. Very, very good. Started off 2-0, then lost a fight to Marcos Rogerio de Lima, went on a 5-fight winning streak, including wins over Sergey Spivak, Rosbenis Desgande, Andrei Arlovsky, and Ryan Spann. Then would lose to Sergey Pavlovich in August, but then ended 2025 on a crazy run, knocking out Ante Delege and Shamil Gaziev, and then started out the year knocking out Derek Lewis. So I really, shouldn't be doing this. I should be going with who I think is going to win, but honestly, I've picked way too many favorites on this card. I mean, looking through, how many underdogs? I've only picked 3. I've picked 3 underdogs, but in terms of the main card, I'm an Alexander Volkov fan, but Waldo has just been on such a tear. He really has, and literally through his last 3 fights, the Ante Delege fight, he almost lost because of an eye poke. Shamil Gaziev never had a prayer, and Derek Lewis had 1 or 2 moments where he threw a power punch. Mind you, he only landed 8 through a 8-minute fight, which is 1 strike a minute, which is just absolutely awful. So I actually really like Waldo Cortez Acosta here. I think it's a great lean onto, an underdog. And plus, I have not picked Waldo Cortez Acosta to win a fight. I'm pretty sure dating back to never. I don't know if I've ever picked him to win. Maybe the Lucas Brzezic fight back in 2023, but other than that, since, going on this heavyweight tear, I've not picked him. So I think it's about time I pick Waldo Cortez Acosta. Even if Alexander Volkov has great odds of winning, I just think Waldo's been on such a good run. He's been having momentum, and, it's probably best for business if he beats him, and then we get a new face in the heavyweight title picture. So Waldo Cortez Acosta over Alexander Volkov, but truly anything can happen in this fight. Same goes for the next one, the co-main event, as the number 10 ranked pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, your reigning flyweight champion, Joshua Van, takes on the number 3 ranked Tatsuro Taira. I am so excited for this fight, and the issue is, I love both these guys. I freaking love Joshua Van, and I freaking love Tatsuro Taira, so this is going to be a tricky one to pick, but Joshua Van, plus 165 underdog as the champ, 16-2 professionally at only 24 years of age. His opponent, Tatsuro, is 26, 18-1. His nickname is The Best. I didn't even know that. How about that? 2 inches in height will go to Taira, along with a notable 5 inches in reach. They both fight orthodox for their stance. And yeah, Tatsuro, minus 200 as the challenger. Love to see it. Joshua Van, born October 10th, 2001. So fun fact, we're actually the same age for 9 days. Isn't that a weird fun fact for you? And as for Tatsuro, he was born January 2000. So these are both 2 young bucks going at it. Actually, I think this is the first ever UFC title fight between 2 people born in the 2000s, which, I mean, I'm born in the 2000s, so it gives me good reputability, I guess. For Joshua Van, the champ, 24, from Houston, originally from Myanmar, gets all around for the gyms. I was watching the UFC Embedded, really been working on his cardio for this contest, really been working on mentality, you can see. It's been impressive. He's gotten 6 knockouts and actually 8 knockouts and 2 subs, so 10 of 16 fights, decent finishing rate. And these 2 were actually supposed to fight earlier at April 11th, I think it was, UFC 327, but the fight tragically fell apart. So, happens. Joshua Van is currently on a 6-fight winning streak, and obviously up to winning the belt. His winning streak from September to now, it's been good. Okay, defeating Edgar Charez, Cody Durden, Ray Tazura, knocking out Bruno Silva, fight of the year last year against Brandon Royval, but then tragically ended 2025 with Pantoja, Alexander Pantoja, breaking his arm 26 seconds into the fight. So Joshua Van, as of right now, is labeled a paper champion, but he's legit. I think he's legit. I'm just interested to see how he does against Tatsuro Taira, because Tatsuro has legit been on an absolute tear since joining the UFC. From Japan, Okinawa, 6 KOs and 8 subs, give him 14 out of 18 wins by finish. Obviously, debuts, dominates Carlos Candelaria. That was only 4 years ago. Then submits CJ Vergara, submits Jesus Aguilar, dominates Edgar Charez, but was tested in that fight. Knocks out Carlos Hernandez, finishes Alex Perez in his first main event, then loses a very close split decision fight of the night against Brandon Royval. Very entertaining fight. And then last year, 2 high-profile fights, main event against Hyun Sung Park, destroys him, and then destroys Brandon Moreno on the final pay-per-view of the year last year, which was just crazy to see that Brandon Moreno had nothing, absolutely nothing for Tatsuro Taira. So this one I'm very torn on. I like both of these guys, but I'm going to be honest, I really think Tatsuro's going to win. I don't know what it is. I think Tatsuro Taira is levels above a lot of these guys at flyweight. Maybe I'm, just going to get stuck in my ways because I've been riding with him since he joined the UFC. I haven't picked against Tatsuro in a single fight he's had in the UFC. So we're going to ride with Taira to become the new champion. I've already failed on a bunch of new champions this year. I think I failed on actually every single one, so that's not good. That's not good whatsoever. Yeah, I had Patty winning. That didn't happen. I had Lopez winning. That didn't happen. The BMF belt doesn't count. 327 Nigeria didn't happen. So as of right now, I've picked every single UFC title fight wrong except the BMF fight. So we're going to have to see what happens. But I am going to go with Taira, and I can easily see him getting a round 2 or round 3 sub. I just think when I look at Joshua Van, that if you really put the pressure on him with the takedowns, especially with Taira's high level, you can get it done. So give me Tatsuro Taira to become the new flyweight champion. Let's freaking make it happen, baby. Come on, Tatsuro. Do it for Japan. And then with that, we get into our star-studded main event as the number 3 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, Khamzat Chimaev, your reigning middleweight champion, takes on the number 3 ranked Sean Strickland. Wow, I cannot believe this fight is being made. I'm going to be honest, this was a fight, you talk about, you discuss, but to actually see it being made is crazy work. Khamzat right now is up to minus 510. The odds grow on him each and every day. He is a heavy favorite coming in. Sean Strickland is at plus 370 last time I did my little fighter notes. So for Khamzat, 15-0. Bohr stands at 6'2", 75-inch reach. Sean Strickland, 30-7, 6'1", 76-inch reach. Both guys in that orthodox fighting position. As for age, Khamzat's 3 years younger. That's just about it. So, gonna be good. Gonna be really good. Khamzat to start off, like I said, the legend of him grows with every single fight that he has. 32 now, fights out of the United Arab Emirates. 12 of his 15 wins are by finish, split at 6 knockouts and 6 subs, and he's a really good 9-0 in the UFC. He's only had 2 fights where he hasn't gotten either a fight of the night or a performance bonus, and, since his last 3 fights, defeated Kamaru Usman, defeated Robert Whittaker, and last year in his lone fight, defeated Dricus du Plessis in the most dominant title victory, I think, of all time. 21 minutes and 40 seconds of control time, 529 total strikes landed to 45, and then he landed 12 of 17 takedowns, which is just ridiculous. Dricus du Plessis didn't land a single significant strike until round number 3. He didn't land over 5 significant strikes until round number 5. So that should just let you know that Dricus du Plessis is, as high level as he is, there's levels to this, and Khamzat is on that level. So we'll see how Khamzat does. Like I said, we know his game plan. It's going to be grappling. He can also swing, though. Like I said, we've seen him knock out, who is he knocked out? He's dropped Gilbert Burns. He's knocked out Gerald Meerschaert. He's got punch and power. But the guy he's taking on, name of the game, is striking for him. Sean Strickland, 35 from Vegas, 12 KOs and 4 subs, give him 16 out of 30 wins by finish. Wow, but somehow got a finish in his last fight. Very shocking. Never been submitted. I want to preference that. Sean Strickland's been knocked out before, but has never been submitted, and he's gotten 17-7 in the UFC. So this will be fight number 10 for Khamzat and fight number 25 in the UFC for good old Sean Strickland. Sean, over the last, few years, obviously won the belt against Izzy, lost it to Dricus, defeated Paulo Costa in one of the worst fights of 2024. Last year, lost the rematch to Dricus, and then this year started it off with a bang at UFC Houston, knocking off Anthony Hernandez. TKO'd him. Round number 3, very impressive stuff. And the one thing I'll say about that fight is Anthony Hernandez attempted 1 takedown, and that was that. So when people are saying, Sean Strickland's just going to defend the takedowns of Khamzat Chimaev, I mean, we have not really seen him ever tested like that. Dricus was landing some takedowns, but Dricus du Plessis lands sloppy takedowns. We already know that's how he goes. So Sean is really going to be tested here. Obviously, the striking, you could argue he is better striking than Khamzat. But at the end of the day, is it just me, or I feel like Khamzat's just going to go take him down and submit him. I don't know if I'm just overthinking it. Maybe I'm just thinking too less of Sean, but I'm picking Khamzat no matter what. There's never been a universe I have not picked Khamzat Chimaev to win a fight. But I don't know. Maybe Sean has some really good hidden takedown defense. I think he can defend one, but it reminds me of, Robert Whittaker and Kamaru Usman. If they can't stop the takedowns, what makes you think Sean is going to? Now, there's bad blood in this. These two absolutely hate each other. They can't even be left in the same room alone. It's great at selling. I'll be curious what it's like after the bell, but I do have Khamzat submitting Sean Strickland. I'm going to go round 1. I could easily see it happening in round 1, and I absolutely love that I'm predicting both the co and main events to be submission victories. So I can see a rear naked chokehold for Tatsuro and Khamzat to get it done, but yeah, I'm really confident on Khamzat in this one. And if he wins, do you bump him up to number 1 pound for pound? I don't know. I don't know, because Islam just doesn't have any fight news. Obviously, Topura's fighting soon, but I feel like those three guys are just going to jump each other over and over and over. I will say Islam and Nia have more high-profile victories, but I mean, Khamzat is just a whole different animal. So, Khamzat Chimaev over Sean Strickland is going to be my final prediction for UFC 328. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the love, and UFC 328 is going to be an absolute banger. So, let me know who you guys are thinking to win, and you already know I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.